Del Horno's studs hit, Messi spun through the air, and Stamford Bridge erupted. Red card, 18 years old, hair in his eyes, and he just bent Mourinho's machine out of shape. Chelsea looked around like someone had pulled a wire from their perfect system. That skinny kid, he wasn't done. He kept asking for the ball. He kept running at giants. Fast forward, that same kid now moves markets. When he signs, subscriptions spike. When he lands, ticket prices double. Tonight, we follow the money, the clauses, the leverage, and the deals that turned a teenager's fearlessness into equity-style upside. To understand the Miami contract math, we go back to the first investment. La Masia wasn't a dorm, it was seed funding. Barcelona didn't just train Messi, they financed his growth hormone treatment, wrapped him in a family, and gave him a narrative. That story, tiny boy, bigger dream, became the brand's origin myth. It built loyalty that no sponsor could replicate with ad spend. Then came the number that sounded absurd, a $150 million buyout clause at 18. That wasn't a price, it was a signal. Scarcity, deterrence, and inside the club, certainty. You don't put that figure on a prospect unless you've decided he's a franchise. Stamford Bridge served as the proof of concept. On a night when intimidation was the tactic, he inverted the power. After that, the wage curve and commercial plans made sense. You're not paying for what he is, you're paying for compound returns. Barcelona industrialized that halo. Summer tours turned into traveling carnivals. The Ronaldinho handoff wasn't just tactical, it was content. The club packaged smiles, embraces, and training ground clips into emotional equity. Shirt sales weren't random demand, they were a subscription to belonging. Media teams tracked minutes, watched spike charts after dribbles, and the volatility of his highlights. Sponsors love assets that can create predictable spikes. Meanwhile, Adidas bet early and bet long. Nike flirted, Adidas committed. Lifetime style structures aren't built for sprinters who flash and fade. They're built for storytellers. Messi's cadence, quiet, relentless, almost shy, played globally. He wasn't selling noise, he was selling trust. That's why the brand didn't collapse after a bad week. It compounding through seasons, finals, and highlight reels that parents felt comfortable showing their kids. Of course, ownership brings friction. Spain's tax labyrinth and the image rights legal battles became the cost of being a global IP holder. Structures, entities, and advisors weren't luxuries. They were survival. You don't scale a personal brand across continents without building a legal chassis that can carry the weight. Contract language evolved with the audience. Salary mattered, but image rights became the control room. By holding his IP tightly, Messi could decide who touched the brand and where. Barcelona monetized the glow, museums, experiences, academy funnels, while Messi licensed selectively. That's why a bad headline didn't whipsaw his value. The brand sat on assets he owned. But compounding only matters if you know when to crystallize. Barcelona gave him the platform. PSG offered the liquidity bridge. The question became timing. Cash out at peak European visibility, or flip the table and turn attention into ownership. That decision would push him outside Europe's model and into a deal stack no player had pulled off. PSG was the cash value bridge. After Barcelona, he needed liquidity without sacrificing narrative. Paris gave him both, marquee wages, Champions League visibility, and time to reframe the brand post-Barca without looking like he'd taken a victory lap. The story was straightforward. One more run at Europe, while the off-field machine kept compounding. Miami wasn't a smaller bag, it was a different instrument. Think founder equity instead of employee salary. The decision to choose Inter Miami and MLS wasn't charity, it was asymmetric upside. If he could shift behavior, European late-night watchers to North American primetime, casual fans into paid subs, he could attach his name to recurring revenue instead of one-off checks. Then Qatar turned into Argentina. The World Cup flipped his cultural relevance to peak signal. This was the apex of attention, the moment when a single signature could move not just jerseys but platforms. That's when the offers turned from large to generational. Saudi sent in the headline number, life-changing cash, immediate certainty. But there was a problem. It was money without network effects. He'd get paid, but the upside would end at the bank account. No compounding data, no subscriber attribution, no equity hooks into a living ecosystem. Adidas layered the commerce rail. Decades of partnership became a revenue share on incremental global merch. When his pink tin shirt lands in Tokyo or Toronto, he isn't just the face, he's a participant in the cash flow. Adidas gets the halo and sell-through. He gets the dividend-like tail from a global DTC channel. He helps power with every appearance, every clip, every drop. That's where Apple enters. MLS Season Pass needed a conversion engine. Messi is that engine. The reported structure gives him a share of the uplift attributable to his arrival. New subscribers, reactivated users, churn reduction linked to his matches. That's not a sponsorship, that's a subscription, P&L with his fingerprints on it. Every month, a fan sticks around to watch Miami. There's a ledger entry that strengthens his negotiating hand. Inter Miami provided the asset side. Reportedly, there's an option to acquire club equity. That's the rollover from salary to ownership. Even if his legs slow, the franchise valuation won't be priced on sprints. It'll be priced on media rights, sponsorship tiers, and a tourism halo he helped create. Ticketing validated the thesis overnight. Prices spiked, away days sold out, hotel searches jumped. Cities built Messi weekends into their local economy. That multiplier turns into bargaining power. League partners, broadcasters, municipalities, all recalibrating to a single calendar entry. Then the content flywheel. Behind-the-scenes access, docuseries, short-form, long-form. He's not just featuring in content, he's participating in the IP economics that content unlocks. Platform deals, back-end, derivative projects that keep the story alive even when he's resting. Injury and aging risk get hedged by those off-field flows. Performance matters, but presence pays. Meanwhile, something else was happening. Fans in Europe who used to watch him at midnight were now watching him at dinner. Time zone arbitrage. You lower friction, you lift conversion. Apple gets more primetime minutes. MLS gets global attention. Brands get a safer, family-aligned narrative. Messi gets credit for the tide rising. The league's sponsor class upgrades because he de-risks the buy. Even a mediocre match delivers a highlight clip that travels. This was the moment everything changed for MLS. He wasn't a player slot, he was a league co-marketing partner. The brand of the league stepped up a tier overnight because one person could guarantee spikes that networks and sponsors could plan around. In those terms, subscription share, merch participation, club equity didn't appear out of nowhere. They were the product of leverage built across a decade of unplayable nights and measured trust with fans. Europe offered prestige and salary. Miami offered a platform where the brand could capture the upside it created. Here's the method stripped to its pieces. First, control your image rights. If you don't control the IP, you can't license across geographies and categories on your terms. Messi kept that control tight. It's why he could align with Apple for subscription and Adidas for commerce without tripping wires between them. Flexibility is leverage. Second, don't just negotiate compensation, negotiate participation. Attach your upside to the metrics that matter to partners. Subscribers added, churn prevented, merch uplift, valuation steps at the team level. If your presence moves those numbers, your contract should read like a participation waterfall, not a pay stub. That's what turns minutes into annuities. Third, build a multi-surface brand. On-field greatness is the entry. Lifestyle and family-friendly tone is the hedge. It opens sponsor categories, finance, tech, food, wellness, while reducing reputational volatility. When brands believe you won't surprise them for the wrong reason, they extend longer, pay better, and tolerate dips in form. Fourth, use scarcity correctly. Limited appearances become events. Events justify premium pricing. You don't want oversupply. You want anticipation. Miami treated road games like touring dates. The league learned to package match weeks like festivals. That cadence is a pricing strategy. Fifth, distribution partnerships are the spine. Apple handles the subscription layer. Adidas handles the commerce layer. Inter Miami and MLS handle the equity and real asset layer. Each partner gets a lane. Each lane rewards him when he fills it with demand. The overlaps become synergies instead of conflicts. Data is the silent battering ram. Attributable subs, retention curves during his matches, click-through on merch, heat maps of zip codes that buy pink shirts after he scores. Those numbers aren't vanity, they're ammunition for renegotiation. When renewal time comes, you walk in with a spreadsheet that already writes your new terms. International arbitrage matters. Spain's tax friction and legal scrutiny taught him the cost of being global IP. The US offers a brand-friendly infrastructure, clearer image rights treatment, cleaner sponsorship flows, and a market built to monetize attention across platforms. Domicile and structure aren't footnotes, they're edge. The moat isn't volume, it's trust. 20 years of delivering without posturing created a relationship fans defend on his behalf. You can't outspend that, you can't fake that. Competing stars can buy impressions. They can't buy a trust curve that parents pass to their kids. Then there are legacy assets. Academies that carry his name become top of funnel for both talent and brand. Real estate around the club footprint captures the footfall he helps generate. Angel stakes in sports tech, beverage, and wellness let him ride categories he already endorses, turning endorsement into equity. The docuseries, the own media channels, the archive, their succession content, a bridge between the last game and the next chapter.